because their energy would be colder.
Exactly. This is basically a thermal gun, right? Exactly. So we are literally looking for cold spots. So this is the real deal. So this is a FLIR Pro 1 on there. What does that mean for you? That means that this is what firemen use to actually help save people. So again, kind of keep that in mind. You can also use it to find leaks in your home. I've used it to fix my dryer when I couldn't figure out why my dryer wasn't heating up. So again, it's a very useful tool. So we're literally going to be looking for, well, you should be able to see me in there, right? Orange, red, and yellow guy. That means I'm the warmest thing inside the picture. Sorry, Scott and Matt, but I'm the hottest guy in here. So with this, there is a blue dot going around the screen, kind of helping us out, trying to help us find the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. That will be in your recording, so that way it will kind of help direct your eye. I just upgraded this about a year ago on purpose because I wanted that specific blue dot for you guys. So not to mention it's a little bit clearer of a picture. But we're literally looking for those blue and black spots in the frame to be able to take shape or move on their own. I normally capture about 4 to 6 pieces per year with this that are very solid. I don't do any maybes. But as far as what's concerned, this year so far, I caught 2 in the past 5 weeks alone. So again, very specific stuff. So this is, I love this device, and it is super fun to use. So, Mr. Scott, this one's going to go to you. It's great technology. You're going to hold that horizontal all night long. So with that, even when I tell you, like, we're going to do a few starts and stops, only because, as great as the hardware is, the software for it sucks. It's horrible. So with that, I don't want to lose any footage. So even when I say, let's go ahead and get that thing started again, you want to make sure it's in horizontal position with the camera on your left. That's the wire side, before you hit the start button again. Otherwise, it'll be a flipped video, and we'll all be watching like this. So, because I splice them all together.
Did you get all that?
I know, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, okay.
You're doing great.
So this is one of the...
Stop.
This is one of the devices that I actually have an upgrade coming in for. We're going to use it tonight regardless. So I do a quick demo with all of these devices too, by the way, so that way you guys all know what you're looking for, looking at in the morning when you get your... It is a GoPro. It's an altered GoPro. Let me show you how it's altered. So you should not be able to see me in that very small screen. It should be pretty dark except for the car light coming in behind me. So it should be pretty black. I know it's pretty small, but let's turn on some lights. So you should now see me in kind of a purple hue. Basically, we're working with infrared lighting here. So it's emitting two different styles of light here. So we have a short range and we have a long range working at the top. This is light we cannot see with our own eyes. So the hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we wouldn't normally be able to see with our own eyes. Normally I would use lasers with this as well, but that's one of the devices I'm going to leave out tonight, just because I want to get more spirit boxes out there, if that makes more sense. So with this kind of technology, I think we're going to go with Mr. Matt. It's all about you tonight. Now that is what's been altered on that so far in the past 2 days, that battery pack that's at the very bottom, that's helping me to not have to change the camera battery halfway through the tour. But the upgrade is going to be the actual camera itself. That guy likes to lock up, which you and I are going to talk about at our first location. Okay. So I'll show you how we remedy that. Spirit boxes. Let's get started with these guys. Again, we're going to be using 3, possibly 4, probably 3 tonight. So 3 spirit boxes. Let me explain what these guys are first. If you're unfamiliar with spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So we have to be able to talk to them, don't we? So this is going to go through all of the FM radio stations at a very quick rate, kind of like what you hear and see on television, where you get the white noise out of it. So this one is not just going to give us white noise. It's going to give us motorcycles too. So this one is slowed down on purpose because the anomalies that they're showing you on television are a rarity. You only capture anywhere between 3 to maybe 7 max per year of a disembodied voice of what they're claiming to catch. Another method you can use to actually use these is to listen and wait for the radio chatter to come through. That's song lyrics, DJs, commercials. If you can make out what it's actually saying, it's a 50-50 shot. I can tie it to our location, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with our honeymooners. So you just never know what's actually going to pop up out of these things. The cool thing about this one specifically is it's going to record the entire session for us. What do I mean by that? You're going to, the people that are going to be, actually I have 2 of these, I think I'm only going to hand out 1 tonight, but the person using this is going to have a set of earbuds, so they're going to be the only one to hear it in real time. So I'll be writing down whatever they hear in real time to add to your analysis tomorrow, but I'm also going to spot check the audio. So for every 5 minutes, I listen to 1 full minute. And then of course, if it is relatable or actual evidence, I'll tell you why, and then give you the link to be able to verify that information. Is that fair to everybody? Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool stuff. This one is already recording. We're going to go with you on this guy, because this one is very unique. So the only thing you need to worry about, and I don't want earbuds back. Earwax is gross, that's you. So you'll have to undo the twist tie, but your volume button is right here. It's a wheel, so you want to make sure you don't hit the button next to the wheel. Other than that, it's pretty easy to use. I make everything nice and simple. I'm going to give you my brand new spirit box.
Are you looking at me? Okay.
This spirit box works a little bit differently. So it is going to sweep through the FM and the AM radio stations at the same time and take out the static that Emily's hearing on hers. So I'm also going to put 1 in reverse and 1 in forward motion. It's a this thing so far has been about 75% accurate.
Low-key geeking up with you right now. Okay.
So far in the past 3 weeks that I've had it, 75% accurate to our location. That one's about a 50-50. Now, this guy, again, you're going to get maybe 10 to 15 words total tonight. But again, 75% of those will be so accurate that we won't be able to deny that it's actual evidence. And again, it's on right now, so obviously you can hear it's not spitting out a whole lot. Every once in a while you'll get those little static sounds. I am going to mute it for now. Your mute button is on the right-hand side. It's the only button there. So I might say mute it from time to time just so that I can stay focused and actually get you guys your history. So you don't need to hit anything else, but watch the blinky lights go off.
Is it muted?
It is muted.
Okay. Found the button. But this is out loud, no earbuds.
No earbuds. If you use earbuds, it takes out it takes out the noise canceling portion of it. So I think it's something built into the speaker.
Perfect.
So your spirit box is going to work a whole lot differently. Again, I want to try every type of spirit box that I have. So this one is going to give us words from time to time on the center of the screen, in the middle of it. On your TV shows, this would be called an ovulus. So it's going to save all of those words to a list. Last night's tour, we had 72 terms and phrases pop up. Here's what I'm going to tell you about the list. This is a phone app, which means this is meant to scare people, basically. They want people to download it. 80% of this doesn't mean anything. It's going to be up to us to try to figure out the 5 to 20% that does mean something, pertinent to our location, the person in history, something going on with one of us. So this is I love this guy because it gives me timestamps on every single term. If something is relevant, it kind of lets me know where I need to listen to that spirit box to tie it in with something else, or to, watch the video, so forth and so on. So I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the list. Otherwise, we're going to be out here till like 4 in the morning. So, because a lot of terms come through there throughout the night. You're going to be my multitasker.
How good is that? Sorry, you're on vacation.
So normally you guys would see these on television, right? So these are, these are kids' toys. I keep those for the kids on the groups. So this one is going to do the same thing, only in digital format. This is an electromagnetic field reader. So basically any number above 2.5 on the big numbers, I want to know what's going on. That would be the second green dot on the device I just put back in my bag. So again, I'll show you more about that at our first location. The bottom number is ambient temperature. Scott finds something on his camera, we'll be able to debunk it or prove it pretty quickly. The last thing that it has is it has a REM pod built in, basically a motion sensor. So if something gets close to that antenna, it's going to go off. The closer it gets, the higher pitch we're going to get, and there's an array of color in there that you and I will talk about at our first location. Okay. So for now, I'm going to shut that off so you can just focus on your red numbers. Okay. But again, you're the multitasker.
Can I say something when it's 2.5 or higher?
Yes, please.
People hear it.
No, that portion of it does not make noise.
Oh, okay.
It's only the motion sensor. So
really just the large number? Just
a large number at this point. We use the ambient temperature when we need to. It's just readily available. All right, guys, go have fun. Let me know what happens. Scott, you're in charge. No.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So if we all have spirits and souls around us, how do you keep those from interacting while
I can't.
Okay.
So we can't.
We got a lot going on around us.
So when things start to pop
I think
up,
we should do this separately.
I would also tell you, like, what's going to verify some of that for you is what comes up on either Linda's word list or whatever Emily's hearing in real time. So again, that's going to kind of verify a lot of things for you.
Okay.
So a lot of people will come here with an agenda because they just lost somebody very special. And I will say, like, sometimes if they're here with this, that's all they want to hear about is to see if Daddy's going to come through. The evidence is pretty light, I'm not going to lie, because somebody came with an agenda. But not expecting it, and we have a surprise, super awesome. Like, that's the best kind.
Yeah,
So
It
just
is
kind
what
of-
it is.
we've already been there, done that,
Okay.
so that's not in my head. I'm totally connected to what you're doing and where you're taking us,
Well,
just so you know.
And I'm perfectly fine if you have an agenda. I just like to know that you
not
do.
at all. Yeah.
Emily, you look a little worried. You okay?
I'm not hearing anything.
Just turn the volume up.
How do I do that?
That's the wheel.
I wonder if it comes to it. I might separate
It's
myself
inlaid
from
there,
it.
just a hair.
Might just wander, you know.
Got it now?
On the other hand,
I'm just saying.
Let me just show you.
okay.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, just roll your finger on it.
There he is.
So, what am I supposed to do?
So,
Hold it?
yep, that's pretty much it.
Okay, hold it and walk around, or just hold
Yeah,
it?
well, there'll be direction at each space.
I see.
So,
Be you.
with all of you guys actually having different types of devices, all of you are going to have questions. So, at our first location, I pretty much answer most of those questions. So, if you can just hang on to those for just a few more minutes. So, let's talk about why we started here. This is Big John's Tavern behind me. That's where I told you guys in the big text to come meet me. This was owned by a football player, Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm telling you the history of any space that we're going to, I will slow down on key words. We have 3 spirit boxes in play tonight. They're mainly for you. So, in essence, 1947 New York Giants, and obviously the name John and relative terms to a bar are going to be relevant here. So, but he used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. And one night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John puts down his beer, gets up from the bar, and goes and beats the hell out of these 2 cadets that come trying to steal his money. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him. John gets up after being shot, goes back to the bar, and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, an ambulance. Now, the first thing is that John is the only one that got shot. He's the only one that got up. Second thing is, nobody died in that story, so what's haunting the place? The bullet hole is allegedly still here. This is a renovation of Big John's, so even if they filled in that bullet hole, it means Big John's blood is still in this building. People that sit in the front of this building tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache, can't finish their dinner. This is your heated warning. Anybody feels any of those things tonight, I need to know immediately so we can get that person to safety. Is that fair? Again, I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect any of you. That's the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long, and you can take that one back home again. So, let's get your mind off your own health, shall we? We had a big earthquake here in 1886. Have you guys taken other Charleston tours at all?
Yeah.
We all talk about this earthquake. So this building is allegedly where the first death occurred. That's natural readings. We're looking for 2.5 and higher.
Oh, it was 3.
Was it 3?
It was 3.
No, 2.5, that's 0.2.
Oh, 0.2.
2.5, yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
You're good.
No, okay.
That's why you guys keep me
Lots of
around.
That was
questions,
a
right?
guess.
That's a test. I win. So, this is the first death where it occurred, allegedly. The mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front on the East Bay side. They say a piece of that broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. They say you can also see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that story because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So it's a funny joke, Linda. You're supposed to laugh. All right, are you guys all ready to go ghost hunting and learn a little bit more?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. Matt, you now look worried, man. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. He's like, yeah, let's do this. All right, we're going to head up this way.
So I have a quick question. If you've been doing this for a while, so
Yeah.
so why do you choose the area that you're choosing tonight?
Because it's mainly nothing dark. I don't know what kind of crowd that I get, and I don't normally investigate darker spaces anyway.
Also, can I turn my mute button off?
You can for a few minutes till we get to our first spot.
No.
I love weekdays because it's like we have the whole city to ourselves, by the way. So, welcome to the Big Red Barn. I want you guys to think of your entire time with me tonight as kind of a ghost hunting 101 class. We're going to start off things really, really easy. This is a space where I get up to my 10 people to be able to show them more about their devices. The history here is I made it a one-liner on purpose. This is the Red Barn where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. The horses can hear us, which is why we use earbuds with spirit boxes. They don't like the white noise. That's why I said for a few minutes till we get to that first space. So the history here is really simple. This is the same Red Barn that held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's it. That's all I got. Let's talk about those 3 spirit boxes we have in play. This is not television. This is not a Ouija board. This is not, is somebody here? Because that's what everybody wants to ask, right? If somebody says no, that means somebody's here. So we're going to not ask yes and no questions on your spirit boxes all night long. You guys came here for paranormal proof. We're going to get it, and it doesn't come through yes and no questions. So next time you guys are watching your TV shows, you can all laugh at the lead host that always asks a yes or no question. So in a space like this, I would normally tell the spirit boxes, ask questions you already know the answers to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is. Obviously, we're looking and listening for the color red. However, 2 of you are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. The color red might not be in their vocabulary at that point in time. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. However, most of the night I want some kind of extra clue to be able to verify what's actually happening. Otherwise, it's just a coincidental coincidence, I think is the right term. I want to look for that. For example, if Linda has the word art on her word list and Emily hears the number 40, those 2 terms by themselves don't mean anything to us. But you put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You see where I have to put these clues together? A lot of these people we're going to be discussing tonight are from the 17 and 1800s. They all have the same names, Georges and Charleses and that kind of thing. We need to know who we're talking to. So I always look for that secondary clue. Some of these terms I might say, that's a little vague. Let's see if something else clarifies what's actually going on there. I think you kind of have a good gist of what your spirit boxes are going to be doing tonight. Are you hearing things out of that?
I'm trying to decide.
I know it's hard to listen to me and that at the exact same time. So basically, you're going to be listening for those commercials and song lyrics to come through. So if you hear "Buy It Now," I want to know that you heard "Buy It Now." That's how, no matter how silly you think it might be. So let's talk about the cameras for just a moment. We'll start with Scott's. So you're going to try to do 2 things for us. You're going to try to keep one of us in the frame at all points, just because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. If somebody's over 100 degrees, I need to know so I can kick them off the tour. They need to go home and get better. But putting a person in view like that is going to give us that array of color on the frame. So that way it's a lot easier to see those cold spots trying to move about. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. So
the sky.
Yeah.
It,
The reason why is because that blue dot goes straight to the sky looking for a surface. There's obviously no surface up there. Some places that's going to be impossible. Just try to do your best. Matt. Look at me getting names right. How about that?
That's pretty good.
So, I only had 2 people in my group last night because I had a party at 6 canceled. So it was like, oh, 2 people. This is going to be easy. So let's do this. All right, so Matt, I'm not looking for things in the purple circle when I'm watching that video. What I'm looking for are the things that should not be able to reflect light. Obviously, you're emitting light from that camera to be able to see things, but the hope is that something's going to come out of the darkness and kind of shine a little bit. That should not be, like my hand right now should be kind of lit up in purple. Am I outside the purple, like, circle?
Well, yeah.
So I'm basically looking for things to kind of move about. It's also very easy to find orbs through that camera. So I'm sure if you know anything about the paranormal, you know orbs are usually around us. So again, this time of year, it's just weird. Sometimes we see a lot, sometimes we don't. Lately, we have not been seeing a whole lot. However, we are coming up on a new moon on the 30th, so I get excited.
8.5.
Oh.
8.5?
It was 8.5.
0.85.
No, it doesn't. It only does 1 decimal point, so 8.5 is correct.
This is recording right now, correct?
It is
came
not.
and went.
Good.
When do you want me to start
pretty
recording?
much.
I want you to
I just
start
did my
after the
days
next
today.
piece of history.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know, but my left leg is tingling.
Pretty much.
Left leg?
My left leg is tingling down to my foot.
Okay. You need to keep me posted on that because
It
that's
just-
actually relevant.
It just did it.
And
now we're
I
at a
can't-
flat 0.
Unfortunately, I can't reveal it until we get to the next phase.
Okay,
So,
just
and
letting
we're
you know.
actually right across the street from it.
Just letting you know.
Everybody have a good gist of how their devices are going to work? How many words have you gotten come up? You think there's a lot on there?
No, I don't know.
So there's a little white box right there.
Oh, let's see.
It's okay. That's why I bring mine. So again, I'll help you out with that. Getting back and forth with it. So right now, nothing is relevant on this particular spirit box. So I'm going to take us to a much deeper history than football players and ponies. You guys good with that? Yeah. All right, let's do it.
3.7. 3.6.
He's missing out. He's missing out, man.
He really was.
But it's okay. That's recording.
Well, all he needed to do was to put it I'll say it.
It's okay. I'm just watching.
If you feel weird,
Yeah.
I think that would have been it.
He's a funny boy.
I don't think it can make the words, though.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Tell the truth. I wouldn't know an anomaly if I saw one on my little device here. Watch yourself, sweetie.
Alright, welcome to another beautiful sight of Charleston, everybody. You guys don't know where to park by the time I'm done with it? Yeah, I can't help you any further. So again, I take it as spaces the other goes towards One Main Street. So where the heck are we? We're in a parking lot. This is the home to the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. So, let's talk about these folks for a minute. Well, I guess first off, spirit boxes, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the Red Barn. I'm going to withhold information on purpose. Reason being is that way you have a genuine experience. So when you hear something and I can be able to verify it back to you with a link tomorrow morning, it'll be that much more special to you. So, absolutely.
What is it when these lights get brighter?
Nothing should be getting brighter.
These get brighter. The bottom, like the
Yeah.
red and the bottom blue, get brighter.
It's weird because those are only showing the sweep rate. Like they're just indicators. Like so I know where the sweep rate is at. So it sounds to me like it's a battery pulse at this point.
Maybe it's just the angle? I don't know.
Might be. Again, I haven't seen anything weird like that, but you're good. It's a good question. So, who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, in case you lost track. Now you guys know why I need secondary clues. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but you guys are all on vacation of some sort, and I hate politics more than you. So we're going to move on. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, it's not going to be like 12 and 14. It'll be according to today's standards. Keep that in mind. I bring this up because Charles, her husband, is over double her age when they married. So kind of weird, but it's very significant. So with that said, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. And he wanted to see all of his children one last time, so he's trying to get Eliza to leave the states, the colonies. She refuses, because she doesn't think he's dying. So instead, she gets married. Now, back in 1744, you didn't get married for a green card or citizenship because we're not even a country yet. So she marries Charles for love, and Dad gets better, so she was right. He wasn't dying right away. He starts sending her apologetic gifts to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. Emily's got it on right now. So is Emily. That's how we use it today. Now, the layout of this space, I'm going to stop here for a second, was the mansion sat in the front. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And then the servant and slave quarters were in the back of this space. So, she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated because she didn't know what to do with this indigo. It's obviously not warm here all the time. So she learned and experimented with it here, moves it to a plantation just north of here, calls her father and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. This is a pretty big deal. That's the business of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back, same year. January of 1744, his first wife Eliza passes away. 5 months later, he marries the Eliza that plants the indigo. It's very smart or very stupid, depending on how you look at it. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. If you want to know which Eliza we're dealing with, ask for her maiden name. The mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it. I'm going to give you the clue that it was some kind of tragedy, because then you can ask what year did that happen. Notice that none of these questions are yes and no questions. The children, I told you there's at least one. He was a signer of the Constitution named Charles. There's more. You can ask how many and what their names are, but after that, leave it alone. The reason being is because there's a tragedy among those children. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop, including any EMF readings that we're getting. It will go to 0, and we'll have to leave. So just don't poke the bear. As far as what Eliza is open about, that would be her death. Ask her anything you want to. How old were you when you died? What did you die from? Where are you buried? What U.S. president was a pallbearer at your funeral? If that doesn't tell you how important this young lady was, I don't know what will. So, I think I've given a lot to you. I have got one little surprise for this particular space, only because it is something brand new that I've been trying out. It worked out super great just the other night when my daughter was on the tour. So I'm actually going to hand you a trigger object. So a trigger object is basically something that is supposed to kind of invoke what we're actually trying to talk to, or who we're trying to talk to. I don't want to say what, because these were people. So I am going to hand you a little card that has a vial of indigo seeds on it. So hopefully, as you're trying to communicate, this will kind of inspire to be able to get some answers out of your specific device. And I'm only doing that because her device actually hears less terms than what you're hearing. So I'm trying to inspire the new device along with a new method to try to get you to hear more things that are coming out of it. Now, indigo seeds are very expensive, and it took 6 weeks for that damn little card to come in. So please make sure I get it back. It's the only thing I ask before we leave the space. So we are going to spread out in this area. So those of you with cameras, I will tell you, I'll do kind of like an Andy's coming kind of mentality. When people are walking to their cars, they don't like their cars to be filmed, and they don't like to be filmed themselves. So you're going to casually be holding a cell phone just like you are. But Matt, you're going to drop yours to the ground. Not drop it, but point it at the ground. Yeah. So again, if I do a let's act casual, you know, that's because people are going to their cars and they don't want to be filmed. So we're going to get your video camera started, and I have to show Melanie a little bit more about that motion sensor. But yeah, let's spread out. Nice slow movements out of camera, Scott. And then, of course, I'll be following up with all of you to write down the things that are actually happening. So your record button, sir, is right here at the very top. Okay, so you just hold that down. And you'll see the timer going. In the event that it locks up, the power button's on the front. Hold it down until it goes black, press it again, and then we'll have to start and stop it every 2 minutes. And I'll splice them all together, so it's putting you to work a little bit more. The new camera's not going to do that. They don't make this one anymore, so I can't get it fixed.
3.7.
3.7. Good stuff.
And mine is already recording, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
how will I know if there's an anomaly?
So you will see, like, basically blue spots start to kind of grow. So, and if it, like, basically if you have me in the picture, go ahead and look at the camera for a sec. So your hand is covering up the camera portion. There you go. 3.6?
Yes.
So basically you'll see like a blue spot like come over front of me, and it won't, you know what I'm saying, like it'll actually take shape or move in some way, shape, or form. Because I'm going to be red, orange, and yellow, the colder spots are blue and black. And it should be able to pick up on that blue dot to show you like how cold that blue space was. Like, for example, just last week we actually had I had most of my party was standing up there, and there was 3 figures that kind of came in like full shape. You could see heads, shoulders, arms, like the whole 9 come up right behind them. But the camera person didn't realize what was going on, so the coldest spot in the frame didn't show that that's where it was, and he turned away too quickly. But I have it frame by frame of them basically coming together. Like, it was crazy. So, but yeah, that's basically how you're going to be watching your video. All right, so you have a 3.6, and yeah, free to wander. I would actually, you know, stay close to your new wife.
Yeah.
And listen in with her if you'd like. All right, so you're...
Look
I'm glad I have this device because it doesn't do anything. I can't understand any of this, but
Are you
I'm
getting?
not sure what I'm supposed to do.
Are you getting
No,
anywhere?
nothing.
I think you're supposed to look for words.
Oh, look at the words.
Are there any words with the white box?
There's words.
What words you see?
Well, I can press the list button.
What do you have?
I have a hard time reading. I got on my glasses. Braden. Detail. No, output
pumpkin.
yellow. Raster function. Chin. Savannah. Julian saving.
You look fabulous in orange, by the way. You hear me?
This off. What?
I said you look fabulous in orange.
I feel funny as the only one that doesn't have anything to do with it.
Well, I think
It's
it's pretty good
okay.
because you would want
It's
this one.
really
'Cause
good. No, I know.
this one's not shaky, so you don't have to worry about
Yeah,
shaking hands.
I know.
Yes, but you
Why
know,
is this shaking now?
do you have your reading glasses with you in your purse?
Why is this thing shaking like this?
Love, love.
No.
Oh,
I don't.
I'm gonna go
Why
one.
is this thing go weird now?
Come with me.
Going weird.
I'm supposed to keep you on the frame.
Well, somebody's got to be in the frame.
Yeah, that's what he said. I need to protect you though. See if anybody comes up behind you.
Yeah, well, if you was
Why is this thing like going weird?
so asking.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. Well, that's why you guys keep me around. Kind of provoke things along. Linda, how are we doing with your list?
Yeah. Okay, I just don't know what I'm supposed to be doing other than holding this thing.
Well, you can be asking questions.
Oh dear. That's not good.
So I'm asking them to please come. And I was telling her she's brilliant with the indigo. So if you can speak safely, let us know that you're here.
I want to know why she stopped selling it.
What are you hearing?
I'm gently got up to her.
I'm supposed to be having a conversation with Eliza.
I heard that.
What do I say?
Ask her what her favorite color dress was. Or her red hair. Or if she had what color hair.
She can't answer that.
Why not? She'll say red.
Eliza,
What?
there's several Elizas. Right?
Well, it
You say,
cut off there when she told me the first time she bite. So I had to turn it off.
I don't remember what you said then.
you could ask her about her. Does she have any children?
Eliza, do you have any children?
Gotcha. I thought you meant like something free.
Or what? No, that's a yes no question. What are the names of your children?
No, that
If
makes
you have any
sense too.
children,
Eliza, do you have any children? Unless yes.
no. What are the names of your children?
Eliza, what are the names of your children? Oh, but they're not. He's dead. He's dead.
This is not
Okay, well, they're all dead, honey. It's 20 years ago.
show me what your favorite color might be.
Right. How many slaves did you own? Who's the name of your slave owner or your foreman?
All right, have we heard anything out of your fair function?
I don't know. I don't know because it is hard. I ask the same question and I keep getting the same sound. It sounds like a man.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Well,
So
it's like gender-wise.
Well, I was just kind of walking around and I was like, okay, so this is where you were. Why did you stop? And I hear a man come through. I'm like, why did you stop selling? Why did you stop selling your deal? Why did you stop? What made you stop with your business? Lady? Yeah.
Her father's.
Dylan.
Huh?
There's a name.
What is it?
Dylan.
Dylan. Dylan?
But I don't hear very well,
Probably.
that's Joe. But I don't know. I just. But it did. Yeah. So I don't know. I was just walking around.
Eliza, how many children did you have?
What was the name of her slave foreman?
What made you stop selling? We see you. Yeah, we're
Eliza,
here.
show us what your favorite color is.
Eliza, show us what your favorite color is. And if you're not Eliza, give us a 2-second sign.
I don't know, I just got chills. But I have to use the bathroom too. So. Okay. Yeah, sorry. No, I totally hold it. I don't want to be hypersensitive to it though. But I was walking around just having a conversation.
Any other
And I
terms
kept
come up?
hearing a man. And it was not the radio. I could hear the radio. Hear it.
Okay.
And cars would go by.
Definitely not.
No, he's still like, we're kind of. So, what did I just say?
We have many people here at this moment
Yes. What did I just say?
waiting to hear from you. We are here to record what you have to say. So safely and nicely. Tell us what you have to say.
So it's not even telling the color of it. What's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Eliza, listening to you. Show us your favorite color.
How many acres of indigo did you grow?
It's the same place.
Did she grow?
Yeah, her father sent her the plant seeds, and she was growing indigo. So,
Eliza, how many acres?
How about you? Are you seeing anything unusual? I'm gonna come closer to you if that's okay. Are you? You don't have to. You don't have to tape me.
Yep.
Are you seeing anything unusual or?
I'm not. Sadly, no.
No. No. It is what it is.
No, I know.
It's hard with something that goes off every 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other terms of colors?
So, Eliza was what was the name of her plantation? What's that? Ask her what her maiden name is.
I want to give everybody the answers here. It seems like things are starting to slow down a little, so let me kind of give you what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and text the video. See if we got it. So, Lindsay, Melanie, you guys want to come up? Let me get you guys some answers. Scott, you can go ahead and turn off your video at this point, kind of take a... Alright, so, welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody.
Do you want me on?
No, that thing goes a little weird in here just because of the two very electrical places. So if you get a crazy spike, we'll kind of see what happens with that. So I've seen it go up to about 5 or 6 here. If it goes beyond that, obviously it's not from the buildings. So let's talk about why we're here. Oh, any words that came up, any names you may have heard?
No, there's no names.
No names?
It's the last one.
Okay. Emily, have you heard anything?
I heard I love you.
I love you. I wrote that one down already.
I'm very wrong.
And anything? Yeah, I got that one too. Nothing out of yours? Okay. So when we crossed that last crosswalk, right by High Cotton, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown. You're going to hear a lot of locals call it that. So Charlestown was a walled city. That's where the wall used to be. So now you're inside the original Charlestown walls, and this is one of the very first streets we ever had. So this space is where people used to live. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. These two giant buildings we're looking at right now weren't here. Little tiny shotgun houses. So the names I commonly hear are Benjamin and John about every 6 to 7 weeks. So I can't really make that up because it's always those two names on the same night. When I see people lived here, I'm not talking like dozens of people lived down here at one time. I'm talking like 4 to 6 people max. So when I hear Benjamin and John, that's 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. Do I have anything significant about that? I don't. I have a theory on why it's occurring though. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These bricks are made straight from granite. Like they're pure granite. You've heard the term limestone before, which is basically said to stir things up with the paranormal world. That's because it comes straight from the earth, as does granite. When it's been in place as long as these bricks, since the late 1790s, by the way, they say that stone can actually hang on to the consciousness of memories if it's pure. Now, it's kind of like the stone tape theory. So it's like playing on a loop over and over and over again. Why do I get those names every 6 to 7 weeks? I have no idea. But it's a great theory that I'm getting the consciousness of the memories of the people that used to be here. I'm not getting anything else other than maybe a third name from time to time, and that name is Jane. You don't hear the name Jane too often anymore. That's a third person out of the 5 that lived here in 1801. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, which is why it's called Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. Obviously the term Mason, Briggs. I've even gotten the term Illuminati quite a few times last year and already once this year. Yes, I chuckle every time too, because first off, who's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? And second, why am I only hearing it while I'm here? So again, you can't make this stuff up. It's one of those pieces that I love to talk about because it's so weird and uncanny. So we do get a lot of weird things that happen here. Again, this isn't a place where we can ask questions because again, it's like we're on a loop right now. They're just waiting, and we're right in the middle of that 6 to 7 week lull. So it's really any night now. Honestly, I'm expecting it on the 30th, which is the new moon night, because in the beginning half of the year, it's usually the new moon where I get more activity. So it's not always a full moon like you would think. It actually changes as the seasons go through them. So again, I study this every single day, so I kind of see where the trends start to happen. Now, they did do an archaeological dig here, and they did find some of the people, the residents, like some of their tools and their clothing and that kind of thing. They classify these people as lower class. It makes sense because the other part of the wall would have been down on East Bay Street, across the street from where we were walking. Those buildings wouldn't have been there, which means the smell of low tide is going to come through here quite often. The rich people of Charleston are not going to put up with that. Have you guys been down to the Battery and seen the houses are skinny in the front and they go long backwards? Okay, so you'll see a lot of housing like that down here in Charleston. A couple of reasons for that. First off, you were taxed based on how much street side you took. So the skinnier you are, the less taxes you're going to pay. I just showed you the Pinckney Mansion site where the house actually sits broad against East Bay Street. They had money. They didn't care. So again, it was bragging rights to be able to show off their house. Oh, you're good. You're good. So bragging rights. So they just wanted to show off their beautiful home. So that's the reason why they sat broad. Again, they're outside the city walls. They're probably being taxed heavier, and they had the money, so they didn't care. But the other reason is it keeps the smell of low tide out. So the houses sitting in the front have piazzas, which means they have the front door to the porch. So the smell of low tide is going to stop there. But they would open up the second story window, and the cool air from the water would come in, and cool air drops and heat rises. So it's kind of like coastal air conditioning. So again, there's a lot of reasons why the houses are set up exactly the way they are around Charleston. But these people down here, they were definitely considered lower class. I'm not going to put up with that smell of low tide. I'd like to lull here for just a moment, just so we actually hopefully capture something between the recordings that are actually happening. The next space we're going to go to is another alley. However, if you guys join the annoying group with the blinky lights and noisemakers, we're not going to go all the way through it like what I'm doing with you right now because I've been booted out. So, because of the noisemakers, it is considered residential at the end. And it's not fair because the other tours, you're going to start seeing those other tour groups, they go in groups of 20, that they start going down that alley as well, down halfway as far as we're allowed. And it's not fair to them or us, for 10 of my people, to try to navigate around 20 to 40 of theirs, trying to investigate while they're trying to tell stories and do their job. So we're going to go outside of the alley. I still tell the story because I still get a ton of activity from this
Is
alley.
that the Philadelphia
It
alley?
is Philadelphia
We
alley.
went in there yesterday. It was amazing.
It's gorgeous down there.
Yeah,
It's one of
you
my,
could
it's
just
one of my favorite
feel-
spots of Charleston. And it's
Yeah.
very picturesque. So you're going to see that even more so in the middle of the night as we're down there trying to, film and do their cameras. It's gorgeous down there. I always tell you why I got kicked out of there, but it's more prevalent while we're there because it'll make a whole lot more sense, kind of like what this space was. We're going to be cutting through a neighborhood as we exit the alley. So those video cameramen, if you guys can cut off your videos once we exit the alley. Spirit boxes, I definitely want you listening in. But Lindsay, I'm going to have you cut yours off once we exit. Just because, exit the alley. Put it back on mute.
It's on mute.
I know. You can,
Oh, okay.
once we start
Sorry.
walking, once we exit the alley, put it on mute again.
Okay.
Just because it's a neighborhood and I don't like to disrupt any neighbors.
I just
Okay.
heard Kevin.
I don't know who Kevin is.
That's so cool that you can hear things.
Oh, where do you get your recording back? Like you'll hear things that none of us heard.
It's been on mute most of the time.
I'm talking about that recording.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So, all right.
I can hear you, watch you listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's hard to extract things
Yeah.
too, because you might even hear things that you don't realize
I
that you
hear
hear.
I hear voice because I know the songs that are playing, so I'm thinking of country songs I know.
And everybody wants to tell me what artist they heard. Like that's
Right.
like if I give that to a teenager, they always tell me what artist they heard. I'm like, I want the lyrics. I don't care who's singing.
Right.
I want the lyric. What is the lyric saying?
Words.
Did they say heartbreak? Did they say ride a cowboy? Like, what is it? Tell me what you're hearing. But they always want to tell me the artist. So I just think it's absolutely hysterical.
So what is that blue diamond?
I have no idea.
Blue diamond.
What's the blue diamond?
Blue
I
diamond.
think it's just pointing. I think
What's blue diamond?
I think it's a cold spot. It's pointing to
Oh,
nothing.
it's because there's
nothing.
dead air up there.
Yeah, there's nothing up there. So it's just cold.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's
It was
just
like
sky.
dancing around. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
There's trees, kind of like he's gonna get like little tree branches and whatnot.
when they put in your backpack, there's something dead in your backpack. It's just cold.
Because it's cold. It's colder than me.
Right.
This is cold too.
Oh yeah, that should be.
No, it's interesting. I've never actually looked at one of those before, so. Oh, this is so much fun. Great
And
idea.
a bottle of water in my pants always throws people off too, because I have one every night. So
Currents. Even here. How'd you like that story, huh? That fun? Great, that's why. Now we get back to the closer buildings.
was it 11? You see 11? And 11.
Good news is you're not being followed. Okay. We can turn this off.
We're gonna talk about him later. Any other crazy terms pop up on your end?
My daughter.
My daughter.
My daughter Jack.
There's no daughters in this particular story. But again, if that came up, you got teacher. That's the second time that's come up. 'Cause I think it came up earlier too, didn't it? I want to say that came up like back at the Pinckney Mansion scene.
Yeah, it did.
Interesting. want to see if something else pops up around that.
I think it is.
Be relatable in two different ways.
I don't know. Is that kind of,
It is.
It is. Okay, so the beautiful
This is where we entered it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right. So this is a act casual type camera, but I do want you recording the alley. So Scott's acting like Mr. YouTuber, which is awesome. So he's all over it. But we want to be shooting the alley, not us. So at this point, it's okay just to shoot without people, because people are going to start passing through us anyway, like passing by. But yeah, perfect. Look at you, Mr. Casual. Love it. So, yeah, this is Philadelphia Alley. So it used to be called Jewelers Alley. So this is where the jewels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Every ghost tour loves to go down here. Again, we're allowed to go halfway, but we all tell the same story. I tell it a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. This isn't just a ghost story. So let's get into it. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Lack. He likes to pop up here quite a bit. He's brown. Weird, because you don't hear who's talking about the color brown on the radio. But anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. He thinks the doctor's just after her money, so he tells her to get rid of the doctor. To prove that he's not after her money, the town coachman set him up to be robbed. It wasn't a very good start. Somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs. Now I'm going to stop with Ralph for a second because Ralph has the same initials as to where the doctor came from. It's Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. RI likes to show up here a lot. However, I need the secondary clue, so I need to know who it belongs to. The letter R actually showed up here last night on your spirit box while we were standing here. So again, but anyway, so Ralph says, "Hey, you want to stay here? He's got a gunman inside that's going to try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them, and you'll be safe and good to go." The doctor takes him up on the offer. They become friends. The doctor's practice begins to take off. He's making his own money now. He's got lots of cash. Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the whistling doctor. Yes, whistling was a thing in the late 1700s. Every cliched haunted city you will ever go to will tell this very cliched whistler, whatever type of story. They all have a whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor. So let's go on. Now, the doctor and Ralph go to plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they're arguing over a new actress that was in the play William III by Shakespeare. The doctor thought she was fantastic, Ralph not so much. It gets a little heated and ugly when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée Amanda back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph is from here, he's friends at the newspaper. There's those friends, he puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad and he rebuttals with, "Let's go to Jewelers Alley, we're going to settle this," meaning somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend, he just wanted to make the point to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happens in a duel. Ralph has his one shot, puts it in the kneecap, on the doctor. So the doctor doesn't die either, but Ralph proves the point that he's still pissed off. So, the doctor drops to the ground, his friends pick him up, they carry him home to 59 Church Street where he dies 10 days later, after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor, he probably tried to bleed himself out. Just so you guys know. Now, they say as you walk through this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Very cliche, right? Very ghost kind of story. But I used to take my groups all the way through here. So I have some background noise that I can't debunk. I do. Keep in mind if you're going to do that and go through it again, like you've already been through it once, you turn on your voice recorders. Everybody, all the locals know the story. So if anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way home. So,
notice the red bricks.
Now, we're going to end up here. My garage is right there. So every single night, I throw a whistle down the alley. If my daughter's with us on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first, especially if there's other tourists down there since we've been together. So let's talk about why I got kicked out, because that's the fun story. November 26th, 2020, taking my group through there, and I like to show off the bricks on the other side. Why? Because this alley didn't always come all the way through, which means the bricks on the other side are older. They're sun-dried bricks from slavery. They have one full handprint and fingerprint swipes on the other side. I always pointed out, but we need to keep moving. Why? Because that handprint is right outside a gentleman's dining room window. I wasn't real pleased with my people trying to put a spirit box or an EMF meter near it. Now, I always tell them we have to keep moving because that kid's not staring at the brick in the afterlife. I promise you that. It's kind of like my grave theory, hanging out in the graveyard. So he come out November 26th screaming and yelling. My daughter thought it was hysterical because Dad's getting yelled at. And the next day was November 27th, Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour. I got a phone call on the 28th from the tourism office to file a complaint that I either need to go down halfway like every other tour or reroute. I decided to reroute. My tickets were much cheaper back then, so I told my team, we're going to wing it. We're going to talk about a female pirate. See what I know. I'm not a pirates guy. I'm a vampire guy. I don't even like pirates. So I tell them what I know. Well, before I start the story, somebody hears the name Anne on one of the spirit boxes. Are you kidding me? So we get there, and then somebody else hears the number 300. I don't know what 300 is, but I'm about to tell the story of Anne Bonny. So again, I go home, I do all the research. We were there November 28th, 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. So now, we keep going back in hopes that we capture more and more evidence. It is a hit-or-miss spot, but we are definitely going to go through it again. I'll go through it nightly. I would say it's pretty active 3 out of 7 nights a week. So, again, I can't make this stuff up. I don't make things up. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go up and around St. Philip's Church. I definitely want you guys listening to your spirit boxes. Your deal is kind of out of the realm until we get to the Anne Bonny story, which is the very last stop. So you can still, yeah, you're still, again, spirit boxes, videos. If you want to continue to record, by all means do so. But we're going to be kind of chilling for just a few minutes before we dive into the Anne Bonny bit, and then we're going to do a full investigation, probably even further, like what we did at the Kingdom Mansion. So, good morning, Emily. I've seen twice out of you already.
Sorry.
This is your honeymoon. It's an all-nighter every night.
It's all
So. All right.
No, it's literally just a habit. Like, people hate that.
That's the death gate that they would use as a shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me. Otherwise, remember, the alley didn't always go all the way through. They'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street, which you guys all looked at how long that alley was, carrying a dead body, and come back around in order to get to the cemetery. So again, I call that the death gates, but the doctor never moved. But not a whole lot of people know why that gate is actually there. And it does stay locked. It's not in use today. But it is a router and use. So go ahead and have a seat. You guys can tell me what you actually got on your spirit boxes. You start to stop your recording as far as video.
95.
Again,
I've heard that a lot.
yeah. I'm guessing this radio station is coming through 95.9 or something like that.
I heard it 98.
All right, so let's talk. Go ahead, Lindsay, have a seat and go ahead and mute your. Do you get any spikes out of yours? I want to know.
It is 0, 0, 0 the whole time.
This is normally a dead area, no pun intended. But if you get anything, I get excited because that means something else is going off too.
Okay.
So just kind of keep that in mind. So this is kind of a whopper of a story. This is my finale because again, it's pirates, and I had to learn. I don't know how many books I've read on this one pirate, but there's a lot going on here. So we're going to be discussing the powder magazine first. That's the little building with the crosses on it. First off, I'd like to point out those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. If we get another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, an earthquake bolt is basically a turnbuckle. You can turn it, and it's supposed to straighten the building back up. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The reason I bring these up is because these are the first set of earthquake bolts that we actually put in Charleston, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. Now, that's the reason why we're here. This building is actually from the same time era as our female pirate when she was here. So this is kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. So I call this just a familiar. I told you about the Charlestown walls earlier. This is the street where it came up. So basically where that parking garage is now, that's where the wall was. It went up past the powder magazine and started going south behind me towards the battery. So it's locked into the corners on purpose. It is 3 blocks away from the water. If it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship, it's going to have a hard time penetrating the 32-inch thick walls. There's gunpowder inside. But let's pretend that it does. It goes all the way through, and the gunpowder blows up. There's sand underneath those red shingles from the early 1700s that is supposed to go up in the air with the explosion and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea that doesn't work. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It got struck. Sand in the air, building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one's just never been attacked, even though it's served in 7 different wars, including the Civil War. It is a museum now, so if you're into old war uniforms and artillery, spend the $5. There's really cool stuff in there. But anyway, we're here because of that exact reason. This small building took 10 years to build. That doesn't sound like our government. Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. So, 1703 to 1713 is a construction era. Our story begins in 1708. A young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. You guys with me so far?
Yes.
Okay, now the three of them are running away from his wife. Just putting that out there. If I don't say that slow and I do too quick, you guys get a little twisted with the timeline. So, with all of that said, they land in Georgetown. Dad buys a plantation, mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation and keep things afloat. Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only like 10 or 11 years old with a knife to the belly. Like, she's pretty hardcore. So, we're going to fast forward. The building's done in 13, it's familiar. In 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. She falls in love pretty quickly. This guy's name? James Bonnie. So, Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. I wouldn't approve either. They run away to Jamaica, they get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, their most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when they get down there, James Bonny is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. In other words, in her eyes, a coward. This is not who she wants, but she's stuck being married to him. But she does fall in love a few years later. This guy's name is John Rackham, guy number 2, a.k.a. Calico Jack. We're going to call him Jack through the rest of the story, hence why we got the name Jack over there by Philadelphia Alley. We're still close. So, Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew. Girls curse pirate ships. He makes a deal with
I just
them.
heard the word Bonnie. That was that was spooky.
So-
We just heard Bonnie.
So with girls cursing pirate ships, he makes a deal with her. Hang on, I gotta write down Bonnie.
Oh God.
He makes a deal that if she dresses like a guy and hides her gender, she can be part of the crew, but she's definitely going to be a female in his quarters. He's the captain. That's how it goes. So she's okay with this cross-dressing because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, I'm a pirate, let's go. We're all adults, we can put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She has the baby, returns with no baby. We don't know what happened to the child. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty angry. Jack just captured another pirate crew down below deck, and she's going to go flirting, because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females doing the exact same thing on the same ship. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. Now her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for sure. And Mary becomes part of the crew. The British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks to try to save the ship. Obviously the ship's going to get taken. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at Jack, her beau and captain, and says, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog, because he was too drunk to come up and fight. So, after Calico Jack and the drunken sailors were already tried and hung by the Chief Justice, his name was Nicholas Laws, the Chief Justice now wants to see the 2 men that fought back by themselves so valiantly. So the 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender, that they're female, hoping to be saved. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said to him, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he delays the hanging, sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in Charlestown with his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She marries again. That's husband number 2, guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. We don't know for sure. Has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. I know, all of my stories end in death.
Wow.
Mary Reed, she dies a year later, 1721, in the Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. So, use your imaginations on that one. I'm sure it was pretty nasty. This space in particular, I left out 2 questions on purpose, but everything else is open game, whatever you want to ask. The 2 things I left out, the name of Anne Bonny's parents, that would be the father and the mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose. Everything else, again, this is where you guys already know what you're doing with your devices. We're going to explore the space. Those of you with video cameras, if you want to go to the front of the Powder magazine to get some footage, by all means do so. You have to exit the lot and make a left. Just don't interrupt other tours. We are going to, I'd like to tell this story too. So before we spread out, I like to tell when somebody actually passed out at this location because it's relevant to the story. Here it goes. It's back in September, nice cool night like this. I bring my group back here. Before I tell the story, the kid next to me goes white as a ghost, pun intended. I have to pick him up by his armpit. His boyfriend picks him up on the other side of him, and we carry him over to that wall. He's about passed out. I send the boyfriend over with a few dollars to go get him a bottle of water. He comes back. He's feeling better. I then tell the story, so they don't know the story yet. So I spread everybody out to go play with their devices, and they pull me aside. Nick, we have to tell you something. What's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary on my tour, and one of them about passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the things that I cannot make up. I'm a good writer, but I cannot make this stuff up. So again, that's why I give the heated warning like what I gave you guys at the beginning of the tour. So let's spread out, let's have some fun.
Should I turn on?
Absolutely turn that REM pod on. Hopefully we get some good answers out of it tonight. That part is actually going to give us hopefully a lot out of here. But the readings on your screen, probably not so much. All right, I'm going to head over towards that wall. So Scott, if you want to check out the front, you can. I do want to see your word list to see what you got going on. Anything crazy? Oh, you do.
You have the tricky one there.
No, it just does it randomly. I don't realize it until I look down at it further.
Discerning what it looks like.
I guess it's pretty good.
Nope. Nope.
If anything, the Aunt Bonnie tail is pretty amazing stuff.
That is
so,
pretty cool.
Again,
So no Philadelphia alley. Sorry about that.
so I was pretty sure the guy memorized my logo, which is I wear it every day. And the funny thing is he was asking me for my tour guide license, which at the time, tour guide licensing was up in the air, and the tour guide company that I was with, like I told you, I was like underneath an umbrella.